All right, we're going to have a little fun that is not necessarily political. It's just loud, it's fast, and it is so perfect for this time of year here, too. And Jay Reese is joining me in studio at KCMD this particular morning. Of course, Jay, we know you as our sports guy extraordinaire. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. Good morning. Normally, this is from the Bud Light Sports Desk presented by Oregon California Supply, but today, a little different venue, right?
Okay, yeah.
I like it.
And so here at KCMD, and we're going to be talking a little bit of Boatnik, what's happening, and the real purpose behind Boatnik. And yeah, we have the parades, and we have all the fun and the cotton candy, and everyone's going out there and having a great time. But it's ultimately about the actual races. Now, you are the PR and Media Relations Coordinator for Cal Ore River Racers, too. Just want to make sure and get that right.
Yes, I am.
Okay. And in studio right now, we have Jesse REINHART. How you doing, Jesse?
Pretty good. How are you?
All right, doing great. Great to have you here. So how'd you do last year?
Last year was kind of a rough year for me. I mean, I got third overall in points, so it was kind of a little off pace for me, but it was good. I mean, we had a good showing the first couple races. Second at Boatnik last year again. So kind of took a little bit of a break. And we're regrouping for this year. So.
All right, very good. Well, we want to bring on our other guest here, and from over in Hoopa, California, we have Roger Sanderson. How you doing this morning, Roger? Great to have you on, too.
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
By the way, Roger, you are a 7-time Boatnik winner. Isn't that right?
Yeah, technically 8, but they took one from me, so we won't talk about that.
That's a sore subject.
Okay, who took?
We're going to get that one.
I think he's petitioning to get that one back.
Not if I had
Roger, explain what happened on that to the average listener that can understand a boat and a motor and a propeller.
Oh, in a nutshell, back in the 90s, 96 to be exact, I was actually running pretty good, top of the field, and there was a number of guys who wanted to tear me down, and I was all for the teardowns, and we finally got together and did it. But it all boiled down to a gear ratio that wasn't stamped correctly on the gear case, and the bottom line was I didn't actually check it, so they told me that if I didn't check it, it was my deal. Even though it was a 14-15 underdrive gear case, or the teeth that was actually in it was a 14-15, the case was stamped 14-14.
So in other words, you have to have a certain. Hold on, you have to have a certain kind of gear ratio according to the rules, or what's the deal there?
1-to-1, right, Roger?
Back then we were 1-to-1. Yeah, motor one rotation, propeller one rotation. It's super easy to check. Just wasn't that common back in that day. When we started running the German gear case, they come with different ratios. So
yeah, now it's totally legal as well.
Oh, now it's totally legal?
Yep.
Yeah.
So Jason's telling me, okay, so what screwed you up back then could be perfectly legal then. I think they ought to give you the win. Well, unless the person who actually won that year wants to yell at me.
The other deal was it was a disadvantage. I mean, having an underdrive at Boatnik is not something you want to have. It's like being stuck in third gear and needing to go forward.
Okay. So let me ask both of you. In fact, I'm going to direct this to Jesse first. What is it that makes you decide to get into a rocket on the water in the first place? I mean, is it that lucrative? Is it that big of a deal that you can just make your living on something like this? Or is this like
absolutely not. No, there's not. This is fun. I mean, this is all about having the passion for racing. I mean, I grew up, just like Roger, watching all this stuff my whole life. I lived next to the river every day. You'd hear the boats run. You go running down to White Rocks and watch the boats go ripping by, and it's always something I wanted to do. There's definitely not money to be had in it. It's a loser, but it's the most fun I've ever had. So
I really appreciate the candor on that. I heard you laughing over there, Roger. Would you pretty much concur with what Jesse had to say then?
Yeah, it was a little different for me growing up. My family was all into racing. Zane Grant. He's a big idol in my heart, my father figure. He boat raced. My dad used to boat race. They were good friends in high school and raced together when there was two guys in the boat. So for me, it was a family affair. But like Jesse said, watching the racing growing up around it is a lot of fun. Everybody asks me, what's it like running on the river in a hydroplane? And I said, man, it's so hard to explain. But if I had to put it in words, it'd be like a magic carpet ride. It's pretty cool.
What is the difference between the boats which you both race in Boatnik, and let's say I remember I was living in Seattle for a number of years, about late 80s when I was in there, and And, of course, you see some of those just massive boats. Is it just size, or is it power, or is it a different class? Maybe you could explain the difference.
Oh, geez.
Go ahead, Jesse. It's basically, you're talking about the Unlimiteds, the Miss Budweiser in those days.
Yeah,
but
Yeah, they're all based off the same platform, similar wing design, but there's a generous power difference for sure, and then the construction of them is completely different.
So let's tell the listener. They're Mercury outboard 50 horsepower motors,
Fishing
stainless
motors,
steel bladed, two-bladed props, 1-to-1 gear ratio
So you're just talking
Right.
50
Wood.
horsepower.
It's like a piece of plywood, 14 foot long.
And up in Seattle, then they're using those Rolls-Royce Merlin engines.
Yeah.
Yes.
And okay, all right. So
They got a better budget than we do.
Yeah.
Quite frankly.
And by the way, Bill, we've been racing. Cal River races originated on the rivers of Northern California. Here in Southern Oregon, the late, great Don Bernison, who's an 8-time Boatnik winner. He passed away 2 years ago. But Jeff Lewis, 10 victories. Roger with 7, although he's protesting to get the 8th one. Started back, this is the 61st year of the Boatnik. So this sport has been going on even before that, back in the early 50s when it started. And they would run from near the Wairika off I-5, the Klamath River there, all the way to Klamath Glen, California, north of Eureka. 2 guys in a boat, in a little V-shaped wooden boat with a Merc on the back going down the river.
now I can't help but wonder if this is one of those things, because even the Boatnik celebration always feels a little, I don't know, if it's loosey-goosey. Would that be kind of a way? Pear Blossom comes off in Medford. It's kind of like we've got this, big committee and we're all buttoned down.
No, this is the active club. Now, these guys are great.
No, I know. But,
No man stands as tall as when he kneels to help a child is their creed.
Okay, I get that.
Okay, all right.
I get that.
I thought you were going politically on me.
No.
again.
No, I wasn't going political. Although that is my instinct to do so.
I've gotten a few emails already.
No. But this has to do with, I'm just talking, it reminds me that this is probably something that a couple of guys downing a couple of beers probably ended up starting one day.
You're probably right.
That's what I'm getting at, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I was coming from here, Roger. Are you going to be competing this year, or you're, what are you riding in this year?
Oh, I'm running the B200 still. It's a boat I built for Jeff Laird back in the 90s, 93 to be exact. It's a copy of I think I built 4 of them back then. But, yeah, I'll be running the B200. Got a few more years left in me.
He's won 3 straight, trying to become the 3rd guy in history to win 4 straight Boatniks. Roger has won 3 straight Calor championships, like NASCAR. Jimmy Johnson won, 6, 7 in a row, whatever it was. Roger's
too
won.
many.
Jesse Reinhardt has won 2. Cameron Kirkland won 2 the year before. I think Jeff Lewis won. Roger's won 20 of the 25 guests. So our guest B200, he's kind of one of the top 3 greatest ever in the history of the sport.
Well, I feel kind of honored to be here at Calor Greatness here at the Boatnik. When does the actual racing start, though? For this whole whole weekend?
We have a Friday night exhibition, then Sunday time trials from 10 to noon, and then race on Monday from starts at 1, and that's basically the whole cap right there. We have a show and shine. We'll be down on the midway after our time trials too. We'll have 10 to 12 boats down.
So we'll be in the parade. We're like 85th, I think. We're lined up at Dairy Queen on the north end of town. But after the parade that afternoon, Saturday, you go to Griffin Park, which is about 10 miles west downstream for the practice session. Roger, Jesse, and all these guys. We have a couple race features along with Roger, the reigning 3-time champion. Jesse's built a new boat. Derek Ely in the 85, a new boat. We have 3 rookies this year in the class, including a high school kid out of Hidden Valley, 18 years old, Alex Allen.
No kidding.
In the Valvoline Instant Oil Change 31, yeah. And I think he's figuring out which way it goes, right? What direction. He hasn't flipped it over.
Up and down.
Yeah, up and down. And but it's the 61st Boatnik. The Active Club does a great job putting it on, and the Calor River Racers. This is our biggest race. It's like the Daytona for us. I think the winner gets $2,200 this year.
Oh, geez.
$12,500 race purse. Second place is $1,500. Jesse's been twice runner-up the last 2 years behind Roger. And in the points, he was 3rd last year, 3rd in 2017, and 2nd in 2016.
All right, Roger. I'll ask Roger and Jesse this. What are the wildest times you've ever had racing on the water? What are a couple that come to mind that say, "Wait, should I really be doing this?" or "Wow, this is really cool"? Either way.
Go ahead, Roger.
For me, it goes back to when I first started racing. We ran a race in Rooster Grove and it was neck to neck with Rob Watson. And I was passing Rob. He was passing me on the top there. I got around him coming down. I don't know the exact names up by Gold Hill, but it's pretty narrow and it's pretty rough and bumpy. And I thought I had Rob beat on the way down. And I look over, and all I see was the center fin to the left of me about 5-6 feet off the water, and he was out in the middle, and he passed me going down river. Totally unexpected. At that time, I thought, wow, this is getting pretty hairy. Yeah. So, I mean, it takes quite a bit for me to feel like that, but Rob and I were battling it pretty good that day.
I imagine so. Jesse, what about you? What's your story then?
Well, honestly, probably one of my favorite stories would probably be a couple years ago down in Hoopah. Me and Roger went like 3 and 4 pulled every leg and passed everybody the whole time all day, and we just freight trained through everybody, and it was a blast. I mean, just it was crazy. I mean, we were passing people all over anywhere. It was kind of narrow water, so it was a little bit hairy canary, but we were hauling butt.
These guys are really good. You know, Bill, they do 83 miles an hour, the top 5 guys. So you see that those wooden boats, they're flying 83. They're hauling the mail. It'll be a 4-leg 2-lap race, Riverside Park, 1 o'clock Monday, the green flag. Heading downstream to Robertson Bridge, back up, one more, back down, and back up. But 4 legs, 2 laps. The old days we went through, Roger can tell you, through Hellgate Canyon, down to Riffle, some big whitewater down there. But
not allowed to do that now?
Well, the Active Club wants more laps, so there's fans see the boats more.
Oh, okay.
Right.
All right, yeah, that makes sense. Okay,
Yeah.
I understand
We've been talking with the river guys a lot too, and they really want to bring it back, and they're trying to get closer to like a 3 to 5 year rotation on it, so it's more prevalent, because that is the historical, long course, the traditional course per se. So it's something that we want to keep going, and they pull the permit for it every year. So we'll definitely be doing it again here.
And that's when Don Bernison, who we consider the king of Boatnik, Don is built boats. The designs have all kind of morphed into the new designs today that Rogers built 20 years ago, a shovel nose. Jesse's in a new sport design boat that kind of has a semi-curve in the front of it. He just ran it last night, brand new boat. He just finished the glue dried on it, I think, Monday, right?
Uh-huh.
Him and Derek Ely. And so these guys they put a lot of time into it. No, it's not for profit, really. I mean, you don't ever make money at it.
So essentially, you have all of these sponsors on the boats and your sponsors on the hats
to
and
help
the
you get
sponsors
there.
on in order to help your passion. Is
Absolutely.
really what this is all about.
Yeah.
All right. Have you ever been hurt doing this?
I've been fairly fortunate. I flipped my first boat I ever had in my second practice, and that hurt pretty well.
Yeah, imagine so.
Sadly, and honestly, and it's something we don't really like to bring up, 21 years ago we had a serious accident that resulted in a couple fatalities, and God bless those families.
Of course.
Grant
Well, the
Healy
reason I bring this up is that this is, in essence, NASCAR on the river.
Yes, exactly.
To a certain extent, that's really what we're talking about. And we see things like that happen in NASCAR. So it's not just, it's a lot of fun. You do your best to have a good, safe time. Yeah. But there is always that risk. There's always a risk when you're going to go 83 miles an hour out on the river, because I think if you hit it, it's like hitting concrete, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you hit the water, that kind of thing.
It doesn't feel good.
We have a guy back. I got to mention Cam Kirkland, the 68. I think video has got seen how many times? Almost, 500,000 times, Bill, on YouTube. Flipped it by Robertson Bridge coming to the corner. Roger, of course, was ahead of him already. He didn't know what happened. Nobody really did. Cam Kirkland,
catch up.
But he just now is getting back in a boat, got it repaired. And, Cam's a pretty good perennial young pro coming up through the ranks and runs fast. And that one, I think, it probably stood in his mind for a while. So it takes a little bit of courage to get in these things. These guys put on a great show. We have a website we want to let people know if you want to find out about Jesse Reinhardt, Roger Sanderson, who's on the phone with us in Hoopah, the B200, calorriverracers.com, calorriverracers.com. Videos there, pictures, driver profiles, the roster for Monday's race, the history of it, where it all started, the Boatnik history, the point standings through the last 10 years. It'll give you everything you want. So,
you bet.
But I tell you, we see more and more people, and thanks to you and Kcmd, I want to give a shout out to your competitor in town. Kjo does the live radio broadcast from the air and so forth Monday. But our sport, these guys tell me, they say, Jay, I see more and more people on the riverbanks, because we do race in kind of backwoods places too. Hoopah.
And that's what I'm getting at here. That's why I was bringing up, was this one of those things where, all right, I bet you that I can beat you to the bridge, and back, and then off we go. And then 61 years later, you're still doing it.
Yeah. And the fans here, if you missed Boatnik, haven't seen it, we're in this Oregon again, Rooster Crow, the end of June in Rogue River. That's turned into a great 2-day event right there at the bridge. Coyote Evans, Fleming Park there. And in Gold Beach, after the 4th on July 6th and 7th, we'll be in Agnes, down in Agnes, just outside of upriver from Gold Beach, August 3rd and 4th. We haven't raced there in 20 years, I think.
Yeah.
And that'll be a great race down there. And then Labor Day here in Grants Pass again, September 1st and 2nd. But after Boatnik, we have a week off, and then we go Willow Creek, California, hour inland of Eureka, Hoopaw, and then Rooster Crow, and it just goes on. We have 10 races this year.
Very good. Jay, Jesse, Roger, appreciate you coming on this morning. And, Roger, I guess you got to go back to your day job or where you're just going to be counting your winnings.
Yeah, I got to get to work. I'm working an hour away from home out in Eureka, so I'm sitting about 5 miles from Eureka, 37, so I got to get rolling. I really want to thank you guys. Thank you, Jay, and look forward to racing with Jesse. He's got a brand new boat.
All right. Thanks a bunch there, Roger. We appreciate that. Jesse, great meeting you, too.
Yep.
Great seeing you again.
Thanks,
and
Bill.
Jay, always a lot of fun.
All right, Bill. Thank you. Have a great weekend. See you at Boatnik.
Yep, we certainly plan on that.